Hello again to another Agakala Reacts, and today we are having another part of the Ottoman History and Battles playlist, and this one is Rise of John Hunyadi, sorry if I mispronounced it, Varna Crusade Begins documentary. And let's just jump into it and see, because it's obviously another part. I'm not really sure how many left, but I'll check it on the end, I guess, if I remember.
It is late November in the year 1443. A cold winter day prevails in the Ottoman capital. In his imperial palace, Sultan Murad II gazes out of the window from his bedchamber in distress. The last few months had seen his provincial armies routed and destroyed by a crusader army in the Balkans. With only a week's march standing between the Crusaders and the imperial capital, all seemed lost for the once unstoppable Ottoman Sultanate. The battle for the fate of the entire Balkans was just over the snowy horizon. This video is made available for free thanks to our YouTube members and patrons. We fund our free content through our program of exclusive videos made for our members and patrons, who get 2 documentaries per week not available to the public. Join their ranks and watch the series on the Albigensian Crusade, Fall of Sparta, First Punic War, Italian Reunification Wars, History of Prussia, Biography of Sulla, Russo-Japanese War, Reconquista, Persian Wars, and War of Spanish Succession, and much more. All this is made for and with generous donations from our backers. So if you're enjoying our content and want to see more and support the cause of history, consider becoming a YouTube member or patron. Join their ranks via the link in the description and pinned comment to learn our schedule, get early access to all videos, voting rights on future videos, and much more. You will be able to watch more than 100 exclusive videos today. Thanks for supporting us. As the Byzantines were left politically and religiously divided after the Council of Florence, significant developments coming out of Hungary would become the catalyst of events to come for the following 2 decades. The death of King Sigismund back in 1437 caused a period of political instability in Buda, as the former king had no male heirs to succeed him to the throne. Eventually, Sigismund's son-in-law, Duke Albert of Austria, was elected as the new King of Hungary, in return for conceding a number of political concessions to the Hungarian nobility. Being faced with a Transylvanian peasant revolt, Ottoman raids from Wallachia, and an unruly nobility at home, the new foreign King of Hungary, like his predecessor before him, spent the first months of his reign placating the local officials of his capital and his realm. This sudden wave of Hungarian instability was not lost on Edirne. Seeing significant signs of political weakness from his main European rival, the opportunistic Murad II invaded his vassal of Serbia in order to solidify Ottoman military control over the Western Balkans. By August of 1439, the newly founded Serbian capital of Smederevo had fallen under a 3-month siege, and soon after, all of Serbia officially became an Ottoman province under the direct rule of Edirne. While Serbian despot Juraj Branković fled to Buda in horror, the political situation for Hungary got even worse, as in the fall of the same year, the newly crowned King Albert died of dysentery while mustering an army to repulse the Ottoman offensive.
That was quick.
As a result of Albert's sudden death and the dissolution of his army, Murad began his siege on the Hungarian fortress city of Belgrade in 1440, as its conquest would open up the rest of Hungary for future Ottoman military campaigns. Even though the 5-month siege failed to penetrate the walls of Belgrade, it sent shockwaves across the whole region, as a sizable Muslim army was now at the gates of Central Europe. Back in Buda, the political scene had become even more chaotic, as King Albert's sudden death had caused a power vacuum in the kingdom. Even though the late king's widow had given birth to a posthumous son, Ladislaus V, much of the Hungarian nobility rejected the infant's claim to the Hungarian throne, as many preferred a monarch capable of dealing with the current Ottoman crisis on the southern border. As a result, the 15-year-old King Władysław III of Poland was offered the crown by the estates of the realm, thus sparking the flames of a Hungarian civil war. Between 1440 and 1441, the supporters of Ladislaus V and Władysław III clashed all across the country, culminating in the latter's decisive win against the former at the Battle of Bátezseg. As the infant King of Hungary fled to the safety of Austria, Władysław entered Buda and began consolidating his hold over his newly acquired kingdom by appointing loyal men to offices of power. One such man was a talented Hungarian military magnate named John Hunyadi, whose martial skill had won Władysław the throne at Batazek. Being appointed the voivode of Transylvania and the military governor of many of the kingdom's southern border counties, Hunyadi became one of the most influential and active members of the new Hungarian court overnight. First repairing the damaged walls of Belgrade from the recent Ottoman siege, Hunyadi began his tenure as a major political figure by launching a major raid into Ottoman-held Serbia during the late summer of 1441. In a surprise turn of events, the Hungarian magnate was able to score a shocking victory over the local Muslim governor of Smederevo in a field battle before raiding the local countryside. In a response to this defeat, Murad II ordered a raiding army to strike deep into Transylvania through Wallachia the following year. However, this army was also defeated and routed by Hunyadi at the Battle of Hermannstadt. In the wake of the battle, the Hungarian magnate was celebrated as a war hero in Buda, as he was one of the few Europeans who had proven capable of beating the Ottomans in open battle. It was from these early victories against the Muslims that Hunyadi was hailed as the White Knight of Transylvania by not only his own countrymen, but also throughout Christian Europe.
I have to say that I have a bit of a vacuum in my memory now about the Władysław III, or Trzeci as we call him. But I do know that that must have been the beginning when Poland started kind of like conquering a lot of land as well, and shortly before the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth started, is it? Or is it already happened? I didn't really pay attention to the map, northern parts of the map in this video now. But, well, yeah, Poland was big at some stage, so yeah, and obviously that didn't happen with no fights, no people dying on the battlefields and all that, so that's unfortunately how history runs, isn't it?
Meanwhile, as a result of the defeat at Hermannstadt, an ever so enraged
So back to what I just said, yeah, so basically there's a Hungary here, so he's the king here in Hungary, but he's king of Poland as well. And you can see that this is Kiev here, and it's all the same color, so basically, here. So basically it means that Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth already been on. So it's 1442. Yeah, my memory about that is just kind of... Instead of watching something last week,
on his Wallachian vassal Vlad II. The Wallachian voivode was called forth to Edirne and was put under house arrest, while his eldest son, Mircea II, took control of Wallachia. This move by the Ottoman Sultan proved to be a big mistake. Seeing an opportunity to subdue the unstable buffer country into Hungarian vassalage once more, Hunyadi invaded Wallachia during the fall of 1442 and defeated an Ottoman force near the river Yalomitsa in yet another surprising showcase of military prowess. In this particular engagement, over 16 Ottoman marcher lords were killed, alongside thousands of Ottoman raiders and janissaries. After the battle, the cousin of the former Wallachian ruler, the pro-Hungarian Basarab II, was installed as voivode, while Mircea II fled into hiding with his loyal followers in the countryside. During his journey back to Hungarian territory, Hunyadi also sacked and razed the Ottoman town of Vidin as a showcase of strength against Edirne. Hunyadi's military campaign into Wallachia had been a major psychological success for Buda, which now saw itself as capable of standing against Ottoman aggression after many years of military defeats. Moreover, for the first time in decades, the war had been shifted into Ottoman territory, thus finally giving a period of respite for the new subjects of Władysław III. In spite of these military disasters, Murad II was determined to respond to what he saw as Hungarian aggression. Hence, he released Vlad II from his captivity and sent him to retake Wallachia at the head of an army. By the spring of 1443, Basarab's support in the country had withered away as he lacked the political support of his nobility, and so Vlad quickly seized the Wallachian capital. With Ottoman influence restored in the country, a new agreement between Edirne and Targoviste was signed by the restored Wallachian ruler. He was to pay an increased yearly tribute to the Ottoman capital, supply 500 children for the Sultan's Janissary Corps, and lastly, give his second and third eldest sons, Vlad and Radu, as hostages to the royal court of Murad.
Interesting.
As events in Wallachia settled down, troubling developments elsewhere began trickling down to the Ottoman capital. with the Council of Florence concluding with the triumph of Catholicism over Orthodoxy in Byzantine affairs, and enthusiasm in the air after Hunyadi's successful military campaigns against Murad II, the momentum around Europe to call forth a crusade against the Ottomans grew stronger than ever. With Władysław III getting political assurances from King Frederick III of Germany that he would not attack his domains from the west, the field was set for another Hungarian military offensive into Ottoman territory. By the start of 1443, Pope Eugene IV published a crusading bull against the Ottomans, and by Palm Sunday of the same year, Buda declared war on Edirne. Władysław, together with John Hunyadi and a still exiled Juraj Brankovic, spent most of the summer mustering a great crusading army. Many in the Crusader camp were optimistic about the upcoming campaigning, as the majority of the main Ottoman army under Murad had been redeployed to Anatolia to deal with the Karamanids. Upon the instigation of Byzantine and Venetian diplomats, Ibrahim II Bey of the Karamanids launched an invasion of Ottoman Anatolia during the summer of 1443, as he believed that Murad would be too preoccupied against the Crusaders in the Balkans by then. However, a coordinated attack against Edirne was botched, as the Crusader army was nowhere to be seen, thus leaving the Karamanid Bey at the mercy of the Ottoman Sultan. Murad and his eldest son, Szekely Aladin, would spend the majority of the summer raiding and plundering the lands of the recently declared infidel ruler of the Karamanids. In spite of a quick military victory, the Sultan of the Ottomans signed a quick peace treaty with Ibrahim, as he did not want to invoke a war with the Mamluks, who had friendly ties to Konya. The sudden death of Aladin, caused by a horse accident during the campaign, might have also contributed to a quick peace settlement. Whatever the cause, by the early fall of 1443, Murad had secured his eastern borders. Meanwhile, over in Europe, a readied Crusader army of around 25,000 strong had invaded Ottoman Serbia while the Sultan was busy wrapping up the Karamanid War. The Polish-Hungarian king led the army, but in reality, John Hunyadi held the most military influence in the Crusader camp. The army consisted of 6,500 Hungarian infantry, 5,000 Transylvanian mixed cavalry and infantry, 1,500 Czech mercenary cavalry, 9,000 Serbians, led by the still exiled Juraj Brankovic, 1,000 infantry from Bulgaria, Albania and Bosnia, and lastly a small Western European contingent of 2,000 led by Cardinal Julian Cesarini. The Hungarian magnate led the vanguard, alongside his best mounted knights, while the king and the supply wagons followed a single day's march behind him. Like the Crusade of Nicopolis conducted by King Sigismund back in 1396, the main goal of the new crusade was also to re-establish a number of Christian buffer states in the Balkans, while at the same time coming to the aid of Constantinople. The military campaign started strong for the Crusaders, as they were able to rout 3 provincial Ottoman armies near the outskirts of the town of Niš in a series of 3 battles. Hunyadi had prevented these Ottoman armies from uniting into a larger force with the help of his newly formed light cavalry corps, called the Hussars, a direct response to the highly mobile Akinci light horsemen of the Ottoman army. It was to be after these defeats that a certain Ottoman governor named Eskender Bey, a son of a former Albanian feudal lord, deserted his post and instigated a major rebellion back in his homeland. In the meantime, Murad II had crossed into Europe with his Anatolian army and began mustering more troops in Sofia in order to deal with the sizable Crusader host. Perhaps in desperation, he declared jihad on the invaders as a way to quickly fill up his ranks, as much of the Ottoman Balkan army had been disbanded for the winter. However, with the Crusader army now marching down south towards the Ottoman capital, the decision to implement a scorched earth strategy was taken by the Ottoman Sultan, which saw the evacuation and burning down of Sofia and many other villages in the local area. By early December, the Crusaders, who themselves were low on supplies, entered a depleted and burnt down Sofia, and to make conditions worse for Hunyadi, heavy snow began pouring down on the soldiers of Christ.
That's interesting developments there. But we still have, I don't know, there's definitely a few more. Let's see. Where is my details? I can go and check how many videos actually left in this, because I don't think that's the end of it, isn't it? I know there was like something 12 or 13, I think. Let's see. John Duran, Rise of John 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, okay, and then there's a 7. Oh, this is like 6 all around, so that's the whole thing, is it? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 left. Okay, fair enough, I guess. And another long. Oh, that's a nice art. Okay, sorry, I got distracted here now. Yeah, so far it's kind of interesting. And let's see. The other thing that I wanted to check was this was third of Poland. What name check? There you go. He died in November 1444. Let's see, in English. So, but this was third of Poland, also known as Ladislaus of Varna, was King of Poland and Supreme Duke of the Grand Duchy of Lithuania from 1434, as well as King of Hungary and Croatia from 1440 until his death at the Battle of Varna. He was the eldest son of Władysław II Jagiełło and the Lithuanian noblewoman Sofia of Halszany. Huh. Do they have... Okay. Yeah. This ad's still going, so I'll see in a moment. Okay, I'm back, and I kind of missed the beginning of the thing because I muted. So we're kind of back, and let's just go.
Heavy snow began pouring down on the soldiers of Christ. Meanwhile, Murad, knowing that his quickly assembled army was no match against the more experienced and armored crusaders, had begun fortifying all mountain passes heading down south to Edirne. The Sultan thought that through this strategy, his smaller army could use the narrow and steep terrain to bog down Hunyadi's larger host. Seeing that the bulk of the Ottoman army was stationed at Trajan's Gate, the Hungarian magnate decided to take a detour and head northeast to attempt a crossing of the less defended Zlatitsa Pass. Unbeknownst to him, Ottoman scouts in the region were alerted by this sudden move, and Murad reacted accordingly by assembling his main army at Zlatitsa. The following battle was to be a bloody one, as both sides fought for control over an elevated snowy mountain pass during the middle of winter. While Ottoman cannons from the mountains bombarded the Crusader army in the pass below, Hunyadi was knocked off his horse by a stray lead bullet before retreating to safety with the help of his bodyguard. At the end of the day, the disadvantageous terrain and fierce Ottoman resistance forced the Crusaders to begin their retreat back to friendly territory. After achieving a vital Pyrrhic victory at the Battle of Zlatitsa, Murad ordered his marcher lords to pursue and scatter the retreating Crusader army before they could reach the Hungarian border. But even in defeat, Hunyadi had one final ace up his sleeve. In the weeks after Zlatitsa, the Hungarian magnate had managed to lure his pursuing enemy into a trap near the town of Kunovica in Serbia. In a sudden counterattack under the cover of nightfall, the overconfident Ottoman host was outflanked and destroyed by the Crusaders. More importantly, the Sultan's own son-in-law, Mahmud Çelebi, was captured during the engagement. With Hunyadi getting the last laugh, the exhausted Crusader army entered Belgrade by the end of January 1444, ending their 3-month incursion into Ottoman lands. Although Hunyadi and Władysław were celebrated as national heroes back in the Hungarian capital, in reality, the long campaign had been a bloody stalemate for both sides. The crusade failed to seize the Ottoman capital and defeat the main Ottoman army at Zlatitsa, in addition to not getting any aid through to Constantinople. On the flip side, the Ottomans had been dealt multiple defeats during the campaign and were unable to scatter an already exhausted Crusader army during their retreat. The Ottoman military class had also been demoralized during the campaign, as for the first time, the capital city was severely exposed to an invading army. Morale in the Balkan provinces was also at an all-time low, as the Scorched Earth campaign conducted by Murad and the sacking of many towns by the Crusaders had devastated the entire region. All of these factors resulted in a general sense of doom and gloom from Ottoman officials in the capital. And to make matters worse, disastrous news in the form of an Albanian revolt and a new Karamanid invasion of Anatolia had arrived by the spring of 1444. With multiple military hotspots ravaging his realm, Murad initiated peace talks with Buda. The delighted Hunyadi wished to take advantage of the following negotiations to make major demands from the desperate Ottoman Sultan. However, many at the Hungarian court thought differently. In spite of the Hungarian magnate's wishes, many in Buda felt that the Ottomans were on the verge of total defeat and that the war had to be continued. Cardinal Julian Cesarini led the pro-war party, as he believed that freeing the Orthodox peoples of the Balkans would bring the two churches of Rome and Constantinople closer together after the Council of Florence.
Of course, the church will
Venice
always
had
go
also
for war,
shown
isn't
an
it?
interest in joining the crusade due to the military successes of 1443. With the Doge's navy, a blockade of the straits could commence, thus depriving Murad of his Anatolian army in the military campaign to come. Everything seemed poised for a great crusader victory, and so in April of 1444, King Władysław took a solemn oath to lead another crusade against the Ottomans by year's end. In the meantime, the duplicitous Peace of Szeged was signed between Buda and Edirne in the summer of the same year. In return for a 10-year truce, the Despotate of Serbia, along with its former ruler Juraj Branković, were reinstated, and Edirne paid 100,000 gold florins in war tribute. In the next episode of our series on the early history of the Ottomans, we will look at the culminating engagement between the Ottomans and the Crusaders at the Battle of Varna. To ensure you don't miss that, make sure you are subscribed and have pressed the bell button. Please consider liking, subscribing, commenting and sharing, it helps immensely. Recently, we have started releasing weekly Patreon and YouTube member exclusive content.
Fallout TV show, what does it mean for the lore? Interesting. I should add this to the watch. Later I might go watch it from maybe next week Wednesday. Oh, those ads everywhere. Because I do really enjoy the Fallout show. And sorry, I should actually not go off to different subject and all. So, what can I say? It was kind of interesting to see a Polish king taking part in this now. I knew they were always fighting. They were always fighting. The kings was kind of like back then. There was no time when there was actual peace, wasn't it? And the poor people were just paying for it because they had to supply everything. And what else can I say? I don't really have much to say. I wonder what's gonna happen because I know that he's gonna die in that Battle of Varna. So I'll be watching that in 2 weeks' time. So, what else can I say? Well, I'm kind of my attention is kind of split on this because I am Polish, so I kind of like, you know, I'm a fan of the Polish king because it's just being a patriot. But on the other hand, I've been watching so much about the Ottoman history and battles from it. I'm kind of like for them as well, obviously. I'm guessing they did win, especially that the king died. So we'll see next week. No, next week. In 2 weeks' time, what's gonna happen? Thank you very much for watching, and I see you tomorrow. Bye.